right? So as terrible as it felt to lose 1-0 against Crystal Palace today, and it did feel terrible, it felt awful at full time, obviously. Arsenal have just been beaten 2-0 by Aston Villa. So when it looked like all hope was gone at full time at Anfield, now there's the slightest little bit of hope. It depends how positive you are. I'm quite an optimist when it comes to Liverpool, but even I may be struggling to put too positive spin on Liverpool's title chances because we know how dominant and unforgiving Manchester City are in this position. But there's only 2 points in it, plenty of points to be won and lost. But let's get on to that in a little bit. First off, let's just have a little look at the match today. Where did it go wrong for Liverpool? Where did it go right would be the easier question, because there was so much wrong today. Much like Atalanta said on Thursday, maybe continuing this kind of hangover from the disappointment from the Manchester United game when they drew. Ultimately, that wouldn't have mattered. If we would have won today, we would have been top of the league. Everyone goes to bed happy. But there's something wrong there at Anfield at the moment, and I think it's a combination of maybe these injury problems catching up to Liverpool, where we're forced into playing teams and forced into making selection decisions that maybe Klopp wouldn't have done in normal times. And now you can maybe see it in some of the players' legs. So some of it is that. I think some of it is mentally up there with what is needed at this stage in the season to get you over the line. And it's not quite there with all the Liverpool players. But anyway, today, again, a slow start. Again, they find themselves a goal down, fairly early on. I think as a team, we were too easy to kind of let Palace walk through us. Individually, I'd maybe look at Canate. He could have done better positionally, I think. And Liverpool just got caught out, and we allow these teams to kind of cut through us. It almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they know this is now a thing. Teams scored early against Liverpool, especially at Anfield. They're certainly ponderous. They don't have that zip that they really need, and it is tough when you're playing against a team who come to Anfield playing a low block and basically inviting Liverpool to break them down. That is difficult, and it's difficult to gain rhythm. It's difficult to gain any kind of like fluidity and speed, and very difficult to get behind a team who are playing so deep, with 5 at the back for a lot of the time. So which is their right, is their absolute right to do that. The lineup looked strong to face that kind of team with two full-backs who like to get up and down, like to provide width. I thought, right, this is a good option here, because quite often we find ourselves quite narrow against these kind of teams and getting caught in this congestion, and then getting caught in this battle where they slow us down, and then it's difficult to get out of that. So if you think, right, two wide, high attack and wide full-backs, get up and down, try and stretch the play, that looked positive, but it never really happened, really. Andy Robertson was doing his best, whether it was actually trying to demand the ball in these areas and moving into high positions, or on one particular occasion where he's bombing forward and he's trying to make something happen. And you can see that he's a leader on the pitch. He's not the most technical player in the Liverpool squad, but he's trying to make a difference from defence, moving into attack. The rest of the defence were poor. Conor Bradley, hopefully he'll be all right injury-wise. He couldn't really affect the game in an offensive way, and he was tracking back quite a bit, and he didn't really get much joy that way. Virgil van Dijk, there's a big moment, of course, when he slipped, and we all have flashbacks to Gerrard and all that kind of thing, but he wasn't as dominant as what you'd want to see, especially from corners where Liverpool had the most joy from it. Looked like being the biggest route to possibly causing Palace some trouble, and he couldn't impose himself on it. His defensive partner, Canate, I think he had a pretty poor game today. Sometimes, I'm a big fan of Canate, I should say, but sometimes he has a tendency to let the ball bounce, which causes a bit of chaos. Positionally, I think he was poor. I think he should have done better for the goal. And there's times here when I think Canate can get caught in two minds, whether it's push up or hold the line. And we saw that a little bit. He's creating space sometimes, and that led to maybe problems with Endo, and who also didn't have a good game. Midfield wise, he wasn't helped there by McAllister, who was really struggling. He looked a bit leggy, I guess is the word that everyone uses. He couldn't seem to affect the game in the way that he wanted to. Fair enough, he looked a bit tired, but his touch was off, his passing range was off, and he looked like he was getting frustrated with himself. Curtis Jones, I thought, was the best of the midfield players in the first half, at least. He was trying to lead the press. He was trying to be aggressive. He was trying to, as I say, press forward and press the goalkeeper, press defenders. And it just looked like he wasn't being supported by teammates. The structure around him wasn't following up his press. You can't press with one man. You need your players around there to take that lead and back him up. And it wasn't really happening. And so I felt for Curtis in that way. Obviously, he had a big moment, but he had two big chances, one huge chance in particular. So ultimately, he didn't have a great game, Curtis, but you could see what he was trying to do. And I think you've got to respect that a little bit, and it just wasn't quite happening for him. Up front, Diaz had a great chance, spectacular chance, and a few moments of individual brilliance, but it wasn't really happening for him in the team. Nunes, another big chance. To be fair to Nunes, I think he had to take the shot at that point, and there's not a lot really you can do. You can't really guide it. He just had to make good contact with the ball, which he did. Keeper was really well placed for it. I wouldn't really blame him too much for that. I know he gets a lot of stick, and I've given him a fair amount of stick, but I don't think that was, a gilt-edged chance. I think it was a snapshot. Mo Salah, he was struggling to impose himself on the game. Had a good chance later on. Again, less about a miss and more about maybe good defending to keep that one out. But it's kind of concerning how Mo is kind of on the periphery at the moment. So yes, there had to be changes. There were two changes at half time. Obviously, Endo went off, Slobsly on, and that affected it a little bit. I think McAllister was sitting in the six a little bit more. Yes, so stat-wise, Liverpool made 21 attempts on goal today, just 6 on target, but from a variety of players. It was Nunes, Salah, Curtis Jones, Diogo Jota, who obviously we're really happy to see back in the team and on the pitch. And you think, wow, if a chance falls to any Liverpool player, you want it to fall to Diogo Jota. Probably should have done a little bit better. I think it was again more of a case of good defending than bad attacking. But you're not used to seeing Jota miss them. So you think, well, what are Liverpool doing wrong in terms of their overall play? It's like they're getting really frustrated. Even though they're having a lot of the ball. I think today they had 70% of possession. They're getting the chances. There's quality players on the pitch who should be putting them away, but it's not happening, and that's got to be affecting them in the heads, I think. But this is where it comes down to the professionalism of the senior players in the squad, the coaching staff, is to try and reset them as much as possible. In terms of what comes next, Liverpool are still in this title race. I wish we had better goal difference. I wish the goal difference was closer, and then you start talking about how that might affect things. But there's still plenty of games left to create some kind of swing. Although that Manchester City are going to score a lot of goals, and we're not looking like we're going to score a lot of goals. But we are creating chances, which is something. I'm basically looking for positives at this point. So in terms of what comes next, we have a big game on Thursday night against Atalanta, of course. And then you think, well, what then? Well, maybe we create a moment, one more Jurgen Klopp moment of brilliance against Atalanta and get through there somehow. It's possible. I'm not feeling too confident about it, but it is possible. And then, if you can get a little bit of confidence going, we saw Trent come back today and Liverpool looked very different, a bit more dynamic with him playing, forcing things a little bit, but more dynamic. So you think, with a bit of confidence, maybe we can go into next weekend thinking, right, we're still in with a chance here. And obviously next weekend we have Fulham on the Sunday, Arsenal, they're away to Wolves on the Saturday night. Pressure's back on Arsenal. Every game is a must-win to everyone at the moment. Manchester City don't play in the league next week. And I think that's interesting. Obviously, they got an FA Cup game. I'm clutching at straws here. I know I'm clutching at straws, but that game in hand is not necessarily an advantage. Then it's all about trying to put pressure on the other teams. Manchester City, in all likelihood, can handle that kind of pressure. We have to do what we can do. It's not over yet, not by a long shot. We have to try and somehow get some results together. I think we've got 4 away games on the trot, if I'm not mistaken. Atalanta, Fulham, Everton, and then we've got West Ham. All difficult games. I mean, personally, I don't even care. If we don't win the league, I don't care. I just want us to end the season on a high. I just want us to, give the end of Klopp's reign the kind of ending it deserves, rather than it just falling to bits. You'd rather, go down swinging than going out with a whimper. I'd have no idea how it works in the mind of a professional athlete. I don't believe that these players aren't trying, but I do believe that they're finding it difficult at the moment. And I hope that they can find the solutions that they need to get through this period and still give us some kind of interesting end to the season. I'd hate it for just to be, another Manchester City procession there with a few games left. Let's try and make it easy, interesting. Let's try and get to the last game of the season with something to play for. Let's try and have a little bit of fun. You want to end it with some fun. You want to end it with smiles on the faces of Klopp, the players, the fans. Even if it doesn't end how we want it to end with a trophy, let's just have a bit of fun. And that's what I think is the most vital thing for these players to aim at doing right now. But it's still to play for. It's still alive. The dream is still alive, just about. So again, let's get behind the Reds. Twitter Reds, just give your thumbs a little rest for a little bit. Go outside. Stop being angry. Stop being upset. Just enjoy it. Let's enjoy it, and let's see what happens on Thursday. Let's see what happens on Sunday. Not many games left, so up the Reds.